I think my job as an artist is to get people interested in things they wouldn't normally look at twice. I think that's an artist's job. I've been making stuff, painting now and drawing for, 25 years. And it's only in the last 10 years I've kind of figured out the kind of artist that I want to be. And it's an artist, I want to make things about the world we're in and about things to do with nature. So a lot of my work's been about interaction of me looking at natural events and making drawing of that and then trying to turn that into an experience of that painting. It can be quite abstract.
Right, and I guess before I was working with Peter, I was more into printmaking, which never felt so comfortable to me until I started printmaking more so with Peter, because his approach was quite different from how you're traditionally sort of taught to approach printmaking.
It's simple, the process about you just rolling, you're putting something on a plate and taking an image off that, aren't you? But it's complex in how it arranges, how it sits together. And that's the really exciting bit, because some of them will work, some of them don't. And it's instant. It's like a cross between painting and printmaking, really.
I mean, and that thing with printmaking, though, that all those little variables will come into it. How tight I've got the pressure, as to how many layers of ink I've rolled up, as to how dense the ink's going to be, and whether it, if I've got the pressure too tight, it's going to mean we're knocking back too much of what is layered underneath. So those little things are quite important. Then with some of these, we've inked up the plate, and then Peter's cut a paper stencil and placed it down. It's either possibly the positive or the negative, and quite often we'll use both the positive and the negative of that stencil in one of the other prints. Plus we'll use the ghost of those, which is the leftover cognate on the plate.
So it's a simple technique, but you get complicated results because of the layering. I'm smiling because I like the idea of it messing with what we think is traditional printmaking techniques. They can be quite clean, quite ordered, really process driven, and we kind of smash things together and just see how it looks, and if it works, it's fantastic. This has probably got, I think it's got 4 techniques on it, 4 different shifts. There's the black underneath with the Terpsy paintbrush, so that's the first thing that went on with the white of the paper. Then it's got the same green we were talking about, woodcut over the top, another image over the top with holes through it. We didn't like that, so we actually then made some bigger stencils and we put this purple on. So it's going from black to grey-green to purple, and it became a little bit too pulled apart, too messy, the layering. So the final thing we did was mix up this beautiful grey, and we actually made it the outside. So the stencil we put on, and then we basically put the colour on over the top, and it becomes a whole, but it's given it an edited view, and I think it looks really nice. The combined layers sit together much better now. I actually call that finished. This is one of the projects that I did with Brenda Tye, and as I said before, the look of the prints have a lot to do with Brenda because she's the master of technique. I'm the kind of guy that comes with the idea. And it's basically a blown up spider web. It's 2 separate spider web elements. They're both Australian spiders. That's from a net spider that actually catches prey. But they're really tiny. And this idea of what I talk about with abstraction, sometimes you just change the scale. You just change the scale of it and people get more interested in it. A lot of prints look tight, or they look technically difficult, and this is quite immediate. It looks like it's kind of slapped on, which I like. And I like the physicality of it. It looks rough, and I think that's got a lot to do with how nature is. Nature's immediate and it's rough, and if it disintegrates, it rebuilds itself. And I think this has got that quality. So I like art that betrays the way it was made, or it's kind of a little bit deceitful about techniques. I like painting that doesn't look like painting, or I like prints that don't look like prints, or these timber sculptures don't sometimes look like they're made out of timber, and that's again another little jigsaw puzzle or a guessing game for the viewer. I don't want it to be fully described. Leave some space for people to kind of work it out.